Hey guys, it's Melissa Morrow with Rave Home Staging and Vintage Bee Design, and today I thought I would go ahead and film the remainder of the Fancy Flea Vintage Market that we did down in Lakeland, Florida. So as you saw in the last video, it was not going well, and we had high hopes that, well, I shouldn't even say high hopes, we had hopes that the second day, Saturday, would be a much better day. Well, it was a better day. It was not a much better day. The first day we ended up with just barely $900. Actually, all said and done, we did about $968 on day two. So not a much better day. And if you take out the online sales, probably about the same for both days. Now we did have the pre-sale dresser at $289. So in the end, we did a little over $2,000 at that sale, which means that we did not break even. We had paid for a bed and breakfast or an Airbnb for the 4 days that we were there. We, of course, had the trailer, the booth, and all the other fees that go along with doing shows like this. Plus, I have staff, so this isn't just me. I actually, Anna and Heather get paid. They're on payroll. Their salary, so whether they're home or there, they earn the same amount of money, but we did close the shop for basically a week in order to do the show. And then, of course, there is cost of goods for the items that sold, some of which were wholesale items. Pretty much, we almost sold out of all the orbs. The hits, ironically, were things that I had done in the previous week. So if you watched the last 3 or 4 videos that I did with the metal tin items and then the cutting boards, those were the big hits overall. Those and the orbs and some other florals and actually some wholesale signs that we had. Otherwise, we honestly didn't sell very much. There just wasn't any traffic. One thing that we really noticed, and we spoke with some other vendors about, was the idea that this was, and I don't mean this in a derogatory fashion, it is just sort of the nature of how this show was. It pretty much was a wheeled event. And what I mean by that is, so strollers, wheelchairs, and walkers. And that's just not our ideal demographic. So we're typically looking for families, anywhere from a young family to people in their early 60s is kind of where we're going, but typically we're really looking for that 30 to 40 crowd who really enjoy decorating their home and typically have a little more spending money. That did not exist in this show. There were very few people and that fit that target demographic, which is why we ultimately feel like we did not do well at this show. And it's funny because I had posted the video talking about day one on my Facebook, and one of my friends, who is actually a stager in Orlando, said that she'd been to the Fancy Flea many years and it had been a good show, and they had recently moved it inside, which of course this was inside a convention center. And she was commenting that she thought it was be so much better inside because you don't have the potential weather and it's not so hot. And it's a lot of the complaints that people who are more our age, as we get older here, I'm in my 50s, so, and I believe Laura is probably in her either late 50s or early 60s. And I think she hit the nail on the head. I think, again, that contributed, the indoor contributed. And we actually had a customer that was walking around, and we made a comment that she bought quite a lot of things, and we told her she was probably the big shopper of the day. And we had mentioned that there were not many of her age group there. And she says, well, that's probably because it's inside. Typically, when I see events at the convention centers, I think it's going to be an older crowd. So there you go. Maybe that is the thought process. Most of the shows that we do really well at are not at convention centers. They are open air. They're at, there may be buildings, but they're typically more like barnyard buildings, things like that, where there's a lot of walking around. You're still effectively outside, even if it's a covered building. So that may be something for us to really think about and consider as we're signing up for shows, is that the general consensus, we're in Florida, unlike other locations where you would want to be inside if you were doing a fall market because it may be snowing. Well, we're Florida. It ain't gonna snow here. It was not a good show. We are currently signed up for 3 other shows this fall. I will not be attending any of them, but I will do my best to get you footage and for us to kind of do this again. Hopefully I can get there before or after on some of the days and get some photography or get the girls to get some video. Sometimes, as you heard,
we're gonna get fired because we don't make videos.
Yeah. That's a little bit like pulling teeth. They're not good at taking the video. And if they do, they're not good at getting it to me. I'll be watching the store on the days of markets. So perhaps I can get somebody to monitor the store for a little while so I can go and get some video and we can do this again with some of the markets that we're more familiar with. I do also think that COVID could have been an impactful. The Delta variant obviously is big and Florida is basically one giant hotspot. So I do think that could have potentially been the issue. Also, we found out that it was tax-free weekend in Florida for back to school. So in Florida, usually the weekend before school starts or 2 weekends before school starts, there is a weekend where you can go buy all the clothes, all the computers, all the stuff you need for back to school, and there's no tax on it. Tax is waived that weekend, tax-free weekend for back to school. And that happened to be this weekend. So that probably negatively impacted the demographic we want to be in because they're the ones with the families who are decorating their home and they were shopping and spending their money somewhere else. Generally, the rule of crafting is that if the month begins in a J, it's a bad month. January, June, July. January is typically not a particularly good month because people just are paying off their Christmas bills, if you will. And then as we get towards the end of January, beginning of February, people are looking to redecorate and they have a little more cash. And then in June, July, people are usually gone for the summer. So maybe that was the case here. Maybe they moved the dates. I'm not sure, but it wasn't very good. Hopefully towards the end of the week, maybe over the weekend, I'll get a chance to sort of give you a shop tour to see how we are looking because we're going to be pulling a lot of fall out. For people who are asking how it went on day 2, it was better, but just marginally. Nothing to write home about. It's not a show we'll do next year. In the end, it was a frustrating experience. Not only did we lose money at the event, but we did feel that the pack-up portion was a little disorganized. There was not an orderly methodology, and I came with a big trailer and had a lot of problems. That definitely contributed to a non-pleasant experience in the pack-up process. I think that Anna will be addressing that with the show promoter because, yeah, that ended up being, it took us 4 hours in the end to pack up, which is longer than it took us to unpack or set up. It really had to do with disorganization on their side. So yeah, we won't be doing this show again, at least not next year, maybe in the future, but not next year. So we shall see what happens next. In the meantime, we are going to start going live again. So start looking for us at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fridays. We are going to either be doing a thrift haul or we will be doing a live sale. It depends on what's happening that week. But if you pay attention right here where you're watching me now, then 8 p.m. on Fridays, YouTube, we will be live. It'll be Sue and I probably. If not, it'll be me by lonesome, but most of the time it will be Sue and I. And we'll look forward to talking to you and getting the opportunity to actually interact a little bit with you on the computer and the screen. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great week, and I hope your next show is better than our last one. Bye, guys.